Welcome to Alaska Weather, a production of Alaska Public Media and the National Weather Service, Alaska Region. Produced and broadcast daily from the studios of KAKM, Alaska Weather provides complete forecasts, public, marine, and aviation for all of Alaska. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
Sometimes the best way to find a living is to stay right where you are and study with UAS online. Career-specific distance programs from the University of Alaska Southeast are the fastest way to increase your earning power.
We connect all over the world.
The National Weather Service.
Hello again, and thanks for joining us for this Saturday show. On the chart here, we've got winter weather advisories out for tonight until 6 a.m. Sunday. For the eastern Arctic coast there, Beaufort Sea coastline, looking for east winds 30 to 40 miles an hour there, blowing snow, reducing visibilities to a half mile or less at times throughout the night tonight. Then we've got a blizzard warning out for the Bering Strait coast, St. Lawrence Island. North winds 40 miles an hour, snow and blowing snow, giving whiteout conditions again, and that's until 6 a.m. tomorrow. Looking for the winds to begin to diminish tomorrow morning and a little bit throughout the day there. Yesterday's satellites showed clouds shifting off to the west as cold air began to flow southward here, coming through the Bering Strait, now the Russian Far East into the northern Bering Sea there. And then the band of clouds that brought the snow across south central Alaska yesterday, followed by the clearing, another system down here, and kind of a front having pushed through the southeast coast and kind of breaking out the showers in the afternoon. Well, looking at today's shot, you can see out here to the west that cold air continues to push southwards. Good 10 degrees cooler today over the Pribilof Islands, and snow showers going on over the eastern Aleutians and also the Alaska Peninsula. That main band of clouds now got shoved south of the Aleutians. Cold air, gusty winds all the way up across St. Lawrence Island through the Bering Strait, and some pretty gusty winds along the eastern Arctic coast as well. Looks like some clouds and flurries occurring along the north slope there on out to the coast. And clouds with some scattered showers here over south central Alaska, but really not much in the way of anything that produced any significant precipitation at all. Then we have a trough sliding northwestward here across the southern panhandle. In about this position this afternoon, some showers or areas of light rain down there. Dry to the north, just some flurries in over the eastern interior areas, variably cloudy skies, scattered rain and snow showers mostly over western Prince William Sound down to Seward, Kodiak Island, and then along the Alaska Range, some lingering snow showers there, as well as over northern Bristol Bay. Then the gusty winds, snow and blowing snow. Pretty gusty winds here along the southwest coast. St. Michael and Bethel seeing gusts 35 to 40 miles an hour this afternoon. Cape Romanzoff had a gust of 70 miles per hour. And again, pretty windy here through the Bering Strait with the snow and blowing snow, and the flurries up on the north slope there, blowing snow occurring in some areas there along the Arctic coast as well. And the scattered snow showers here. Winds lighter, as you can see the gradient spreading out, so those winds not quite as strong as they were farther to the north. And the forecast for tonight, quite a widespread area of light snow here with a very cold air in over the southeast Bering Sea. So numerous snow showers, eastern Aleutians on over toward Adak and Atka. Kind of a continuous on and off snow for the Pribilofs, and that'll extend into the southwest coast there, mostly Kuskokwim, Togiak Bays, snow showers inland, and variably cloudy to mostly cloudy here over the central interior with a few flurries, but nothing significant at all. And still have that blizzard warning out tonight for the Bering Strait coast and the advisory up there on the eastern Beaufort Sea coastline. But look for some clearing and dry conditions here for the North Gulf Coast, Cordova, Valdez over to Yakutat, and scattered showers over the Kenai Peninsula. Maybe some flurries into the Cook Inlet area, but anything significant will be either along the eastern and southern coast of the Kenai Peninsula or the eastern slopes of the western Alaska Range. Front over the trough over the Panhandle just dissipates, leaves a few scattered showers behind, dries out with a break here over the southern southeast coast. That ahead of this next system that pushes up to about this position tomorrow afternoon. So gusty winds and rain with that, mostly southern areas, staying dry to the north. Pretty nice day for the North Gulf Coast and the south central Alaska tomorrow, just about shower free. Still some moisture here, easterly flow keeping the showers in with that trough across Kodiak Island, just scattered showers there. Same thing here over the southwest interior, but they'll be definitely in the form of snow. And then this moisture band, look for snow or snow showers over the Pribilofs tomorrow morning, and that should end as this whole moisture area slides westward and then southward, and that'll be followed by some clearing that'll be in over Bristol Bay just about the entire day. Snow showers again, eastern Aleutians, Alaska Peninsula, gusty north winds, colder temperatures pushing snow showers to and south of the Aleutians. For the Monday outlook, pretty fair up here over the interior. Still breezy along the Arctic coast there, but not much or less wind now through the Bering Strait, St. Lawrence Island area. Still some blowing and drifting snow going on, but nothing that'll probably be in the warning criteria levels. Scattered showers again along the North Gulf Coast. Another batch of moisture kind of slips westward into the area there, but nothing widespread. You've got this low near Kodiak Island. That'll keep it cloudy and occasionally damp there, some shower activity. And then that next system pulling up, that's going to keep the gale force winds and periods of rain in over the southern southeast coast here with better conditions and less wind to the north, except looking for some gale force northerlies for Lynn Canal, northern Lynn Canal throughout the day. And again, not much in the way of precipitation along the North Gulf Coast, maybe some isolated showers here over the mountains. Temperatures across the Panhandle this afternoon, all in the 40s, 45 Metlakatla, 47 at Sitka. Same thing at Skagway, Yakutat, 45 Cordova, Valdez, 39 degrees. That temperature matched at Seward, 34 at Homer, 39 Kodiak and Akiak, with 33 in Anchorage, 27 Talkeetna, upper 20s across the Copper River Basin, and 20s here over the central and eastern Tanana Valley areas with a little cooler, Tanana at 17. Up to the north, Bettles reached 20, but Anatuvik 11 below at the same time, and a 9-degree reading in Arctic Village for Yukon with 10. Arctic coast, either side of zero a little bit there across the entire area, with single numbers here over the northwest and the Seward Peninsula, but Nome did reach 18, 3 degrees at Gamble. Teens here over the Yukon Delta with 19 at McGrath, same thing at Bethel, but with a lot more wind, and teens out along the coast. 20s for the Pribilofs, lower 20s, and 30s, lower to mid 30s for the Aleutians, and the Alaska Peninsula upper 20s to near 30, 35 in King Salmon. Lows for tonight down that way in the 20s from Bristol Bay all the way out to the central western Aleutians. Teens for the Pribilofs, below zero St. Lawrence Island, up across the northwest and the Brooks Range on out to the Arctic coast. Teens and 20s here over southern Alaska, 30s for the Panhandle. For the highs tomorrow in the 40s there for roll ranging from about 40 at Skagway to maybe 48 at Heidelberg. Otherwise 30s to near 40 southern Alaska and 20s for the Tanana Valley. Generally below zero or nearer below zero for the North Slope and the Arctic coast, and about the same here for the Seward Peninsula as you saw today. Upper 20s for the Pribilofs, lower 30s for the Aleutians. For flying weather, pretty good VFR in the forecast here, especially for tomorrow afternoon for the southeast coast, all the way into Prince William Sound and Cook Inlet. Maybe some marginal stuff slipping into the southern inlets, Seldovia, Homer over toward Iliamna. Possible IFR for Fognac Island and the Aleutian Range. Pretty marginal here for the Bering Sea, but I didn't see any IFR in the forecast for the Alaska Peninsula or the Aleutians. That's back up to the north there, and then from St. Lawrence Island through the Strait, wrapping back eastward across the Arctic coast. Anaktuvik and Adigan all looking good. VFR flying in the forecast for all those passes. Lake Clark and Merrill, rainy VFR, windy, same forecast. Isabel, VFR, and Mentasta, VFR, Tanita, VFR, Portage. Could start out marginal, becoming VFR, possibly VFR from start to finish Sunday. Chilkoot and White, both VFR. Freezing levels at the surface, south of the eastern Aleutians and right near the Aleutians off to the west there, but right up across Shelikof Strait, hugging the coastline again, cutting across the northern panhandle, then you get into 2,000 to 4,000 feet early tomorrow morning. And icing between, that's a typo, it should say 4,000 to 10,000 feet here over the southern southeast coast, and the moisture coming on up with the next system. Some icing possibilities also for Kodiak Island in northeast Bristol Bay, and from the Pribilofs on down to the Aleutians. For the winds aloft, upper level low here south of the Queen Charlottes, that's going to be gradually lifting northward here. It'll be really slow to do so. It'll kind of stall out here off the southeast coast on Monday into Tuesday until the next system comes in to bump it out. Upper low, cold low here out over the Bering Sea, kind of dropping southward. Some ridging here over the eastern interior. Easterly winds, pretty light here really, east to northeast through much of interior Alaska, including the Gulf of Alaska, but increasing up to 35 knots on the south coast there with the next system. 25 to 30 knot east-northeasterlies, Arctic coast, mostly turn a little more northerly there through the Bering Strait at 25 to 30 knots. And most of the winds are to the west, or the strongest winds, pretty light here for the eastern Aleutians, right on up to the southwest coast, but 25 to 30 knots off to the west. Same forecast at 3,000 feet with the lighter winds, eastern Aleutians, all through here. Could be some easterlies 20 to 25, even 30 knots out toward the Seward Peninsula. Same thing for the Arctic coast, and those northerlies 25 to 30 knots. Western Bering Sea to the Aleutians. Easterlies strongest here across Dixon Entrance, Prince of Wales Island, and off the coast there. Easterlies also up to the North Gulf Coast. Turbulence-wise, looking at some occasional moderate chop from the Queen Charlottes on up to maybe Port Alexander, and then mechanical turbulence there for northern Lynn Canal in the mountains, with some light to isolated moderate areas here through the central interior. Moderate turbulence likely for the western Arctic coast and through the Bering Strait to St. Lawrence Island, and really not too bad out over the Aleutians. And after the break, I'll be back with a look at the marine forecasts.
Since snow can vary markedly from place to place, where you dig a snow pit is just as important as how you dig one. The idea is to dig a snow pit in a spot representative of the slope you intend to cross. Yet the trick is doing it without putting yourself in danger. Often you can find a small representative test slope where the consequences of a slide are small. It should face the same direction and be just as steep as the slope you're interested in. You should avoid ridge lines or areas where wind has affected the snowpack. As always, when in doubt about the safety of a slope, use a belay rope.
The best place to dig snow pits is about an average place. Not too deep snow, not too shallow, about sort of the average conditions. Probably on the shady slopes, not too close to the trees. Better on the downwind side. It's very difficult to say a rule. I struggle with defining rules about digging snow pits. And I don't know if there are any rules. It's probably, as I say, it's an art.
These days I feel better about approaching a slope from the side. If I can get on a less steep slope near the side, we'll sometimes come in through a group of trees, move on to a small slope that we feel is similarly loaded with similar layering to the slope we want to ski, and do a test there. If that looks all right, perhaps move a little bit further out onto the slope.
The thing that you have to remember with snow pits is that it shows you what the snow's doing right here, right in this spot. It doesn't say anything about what's 10 feet over. And that's a very important point to remember. What I do after I dig a snow pit, I just do one snow pit to kind of find out what kind of avalanche dragon I'm dealing with. What's the basic setup? And then what I do is poke around in a lot of different other places doing quick snow pits to see how widespread that instability is. How far does it go? Is it just on north-facing slopes, just on south-facing slopes? Is it very widespread? Is it just patchy? Is it just in wind-loaded areas? Is it just where the sun's been shining? What's the pattern? What's the pattern distribution of the instability? That's what I'm looking for.
What they wanted us to do was put a snowman in the middle of town that had an arm that had high, medium, and low. But avalanches don't work that way. It all depends on where you go. On any one particular day, maybe the north faces could be extremely unstable while the south faces could be safe. It just depends on where you are.
I think of stability analysis like a giant game of concentration. You've got all these panels up there, and you can turn over one panel here and one panel here and one panel here, and you have to guess what phrase is written behind the panels. You have to integrate all the pieces, look at all of them, and know the significance of each piece.
And then as you start traveling in the backcountry, again, you're picking up on clues from the terrain and the weather and the snowpack. You're listening to how the snow sounds between your skis, if you're on skis. You're looking ahead to see what kind of snow surface patterns are on the snow, what kind of wind has been acting on the snow. You're listening for any kind of hollow sounds. And it's not something that has to take a lot of time, but it's something that's just constantly going on. You're constantly looking for clues. You're jumping on small little hills. Snow stability evaluation is just a fancy name for hammering on the snowpack, tweaking it a little bit, seeing how it wants to react.
And it's never finished. You're the whole trip, during the whole day, you still have to look for unstable snow and weaknesses because the snow changes from one slope to the next, from one exposure to the next, from the sunny side to the shady side. So your observation and evaluation and piecing it together, little pieces of information has never ended.
More likely that sixth sense is what we call a sixth sense, is just a product of all these little snippets of information which mean nothing on their own, but all coming together and starting to build a bigger picture. And so the snippets really are just colored paints that when they come together, they create this very big image in the back of your mind which says, I shouldn't be here, and this is time to do something about it.
What you need as a strategy for survival in the backcountry is good, sound route finding. It's harder to apply than you might think because there are so many temptations to take shortcuts. But the long-term survival of people who repeatedly go out and ski in the backcountry, ski in avalanche terrain and so forth, is based on minimizing the risks.
When I first started doing avalanche control about 15 years ago, I had a partner that just would drive these 3 rules into me, and those rules have saved my life a number of times. And the first one, of course, is one at a time, and that means you also get out of the way when you get to the bottom. Second one is you never ski above your partner, never ever ski above your partner without their permission. And the third one is always have an escape route planned. Those rules have saved my life a number of times. I always go by the premise that it's your habits that save your life. If you live by the sword, you die by the sword, I figure. If you're always pushing your luck, you're going to get caught. You're going to get caught. It's just a matter of time.
But I'm always just, I'm so regimented in the backcountry. There's not a time that I put my ski on a slope that I'm not thinking avalanche.
You watch a good route finder, and it's like poetry in motion. You watch how they do it. They'll go along and always choosing the gentlest terrain. That's the #1 rule. Always stay on the gentlest terrain possible.
Ice edge looks like this today. Really hardly any ice in Kuskokwim Bay. Virtually none, at least for the map scale there in Bristol Bay. And a little bit down just south of St. Matthew Island. It's really thin here along the southwest coast. And the forecast, again through Wednesday, persistent north-northeast winds out here. So looking for it to advance, the ice edge to advance south and southwest, 20 to 30 nautical miles or so from this position by Wednesday afternoon. And the forecast for the coast out here is for 20 knots in the north, gales in the south, everyone out of the east, and southeasterly gales there in store for Clarence Strait, but northerlies at 30 knots, so some pretty windy conditions here over the inside waters, and then those gales for northern Lynn Canal. And then for Monday, much lighter winds. Low pressure hanging off the coast here will keep small craft advisories in over the south coast for those southeasterlies. Southeast down a little bit on Monday from tomorrow there for Clarence Strait, and even these winds coming down a little bit, but still high enough for small craft advisories throughout Lynn Canal and Stevens Passage, but just 15 to 20 knots here for the northern coast. And moving on over to Prince William Sound, light winds there, northeast 15. That same forecast out also for northern Cook Inlet. Then we've got 20-knot winds here south of the Forelands, all the way down across Shelikof Strait with 6 to 7 foot seas. Looking at small craft advisories here, eastern Kodiak Island, northerlies 25 knots, backing a little bit to the northeast here, 25 to 30 knots, and then easterlies at 25 knots for the eastern coast. And those come down to about 20 knots for the North Gulf Coast easterly. Northeast 15, no change for either northern Cook Inlet or Prince William Sound. And back to the west here, or down the inlet, still northeast, but lighter winds, just 20 knots, even Kachemak Bay, and just 10 knots out of the northeast, or variable to northeast for Shelikof Strait with just 3-foot seas. For Bristol Bay, westerlies, light at 10 knots. Light variable conditions here down the Bering Sea side of the peninsula. South, though, westerlies at 15 knots, and from Sitkinak to Castle Cape, northwest at 20 for the strongest winds. Then for the Monday outlook, we've got some westerlies here for Bristol Bay, really light, still light variable winds for the Alaska Peninsula either side, and just west 15 there, southwest of Kodiak Island, with seas really coming down 2 to 3 feet here on the north side, and just 5 to 6 feet there from Sitkinak to Cape Sarachef. For the Fox Islands, northwest 10 to 15 knots tomorrow, increasing as you head west with small craft advisories up for Adak and Atka, and stronger out to the west, but these will stay below gale force. And then for the Monday outlook, small craft advisories here for the western Aleutians, and seas at about 12 feet and 30-knot winds, north-northwesterlies here across the central areas with up to 12 feet for the seas there. And for the Fox Islands, light variable winds, 10 knots or less, and seas down to 5 feet. And for the southwest coast, we've got brisk wind advisories here, north of Nunivak Island, minimum gales in the forecast for St. Lawrence Island, and that'll extend down into the northern Bering Sea here, especially around the St. Matthew marine zone. Heavy freezing spray back through here with freezing spray conditions, lighter freezing spray down across the Pribilof, so the winds will be north at 25, and the seas ranging from about 9 feet near St. Paul to 10 feet up here over the northern Bering. And then the outlook for Monday, winds coming down, notice 15 knots for the Pribilof, seas subsiding to 5 feet. Really light winds south of Nunivak Island now, variable to north at about 10, 20 knots north of the island there, and no more gales now. Brisk wind advisories for St. Lawrence Island, and small craft advisories for the northern Bering Sea, with still some heavy freezing spray out in this area. For the Arctic coast, easterlies 25 to 30 knots, which means a brisk wind advisory there out to the central coast and the west side as well. Actually, brisk wind advisories all the way down to the Bering Strait with the 30-knot winds there. And then for Monday, those drop back to 20 knots. So lightning wind conditions out here. Brisk wind advisories continue central and west side at 25 knots, while the eastern Beaufort Sea coastline looking at those winds at about 30 knots. And for tonight, again, winter weather advisory for the eastern stretch of the coastline up there until 6 a.m. tomorrow for those snow and blowing snow due to the winds 30 to 40 miles an hour up there, half mile or less at times for the visibilities. Blizzard warning out for the Bering Strait coast to St. Lawrence Island. North to northeast winds there at 40 miles an hour, whiteout conditions at times through that area. And again, that's out until about 6 a.m. and the conditions should improve. Winds diminishing tomorrow morning in toward the afternoon. Kind of a widespread area of light snow out here over the Pribilofs. And that reaches down to the eastern Aleutians and begins to affect the central Aleutians as well, with this cold air being shoved southward by those northerly winds. Scattered showers there around Kodiak Island, and isolated scattered showers basically of rain or snow here for south central Alaska. And that same thing here, that weakening trough, some leftover moisture brings a risk of some shower activity to the northern panhandle. Then you get a break to the south here ahead of this next system that's the main front really driving into British Columbia. But a band of moisture will probably slide northwestward and bring rain and gusty winds into the southern southeast coast, while the northern areas could see some clearing throughout the day tomorrow, as well as the North Gulf Coast, Prince William Sound, and of course the interior. Just variable clouds through here, maybe some lingering flurries over toward Northway and Tok, maybe Eagle, but don't count on it. And back here to the northwest, and still windy conditions up there along the Arctic coast and through the Bering Strait, but these winds will be diminishing from what they'll be tonight. And then snow showers tapering off and ending for the Pribilofs throughout the day, scattered along the Alaska Peninsula, areas of clearing into Bristol Bay. And then for Monday, scattered snow showers, Bristol Bay, all the way out to the central Aleutians, dry to the west under high pressure. Still gusty winds, but not all that bad for the Bering Strait coast, and fair over much of interior Alaska. Easterly winds again, 30 knots, could see gusts maybe as high as 40 miles an hour, but that extends out to the west side as well. But dry conditions up there, passing amounts of clouds, mostly clear here over the northeast interior, and you pick up the clouds, which eventually turn into some scattered showers.
These forecasts are to be used for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
The National Weather Service.